Alright, how's it going everybody? My name is Infamous Isaac and here with a video on Black Clover. The final video of me catching up. I am fully caught up to the manga now. And after this, that means that I'm going to have to wait like everybody else to see how this manga concludes. And that means that I'm probably gonna make like a couple videos here and there on it, maybe on like a chapter or two that really just stand out for me. But besides that, the last video for this manga is going to be on the final arc, or at the very least one of the final videos on it. But besides that, I can't give this a rating because it's not done. The same way I did it with Egghead Island and One Piece. So I'm just gonna talk about what's happening so far and my opinions on it. Let me get into the spoilers. If you don't want to get spoiled for what's going on in this manga, because right now, like I said in the last video I made for this show, I'm in manga only. Like this hasn't been animated yet, so if you don't want any spoilers for that, just leave, come back, wait for the anime or wait for the manga, whatever. It's up to you. If you come back, that's also up to you. My video will still be here unless if the internet explodes and I'm not here. But regardless, here come the spoilers. So, but before I started rewatching Black Clover and actually catching up to it, right? My friends were telling me about how there's some things in this manga that happen, right? And not like major spoilers, but time skips. There was one, and one of them was the 6 months. We saw that one, that was in the show, all that. But there was another, and it was almost a 2 year time skip. It was a year and 3 months. And that's the time skip that came after the Spade Kingdom invasion. And this is where we're at now, where Asta is finally getting his promotions. He's a senior magic knight. Got his promotions. He's a grand magic knight, so he's cracked now. And Asta, after all the trials that were happening, he basically had his loyalty and innocence proven. But one thing that we saw in the last arc was Julius, right? And how he was actually Lucius and he didn't know. It was the same thing with like William, right? Except William actually did know. Julius didn't. And so he's been gone for all that time. He's been gone for a year and 3 months. And I kind of wish in the manga that they delved more into that. Like, where did he go? How did they continue? Who was the second in command? Was it Marx? Who was it? But as Asta is getting his promotions and everything, all the magic captains are there. Noel, Mimosa, and Sekri are all there, and Asta's there. Isn't there because he's investigating the devils still. But they're both 18 now, and that's super cool to see. Like they're actual adults, and it's awesome. We've got to see their growth throughout the entire show, throughout the manga, and it feels nice seeing the 15-year-old boys, the little orphans that we saw in Hodge Village, turn into full-grown adults, magic knights who saved the world multiple times. And now here they are, right? But as again, they're chilling, they're having a good time, they're talking. Lucius shows up, the main bad guy of this entire arc. And Alistair's just like, yo, dog, what is going on? You're not the Wizard King. What's happening? Because Lucius looks exactly like Julius, right? And so Lucius is just talking about how he wants to make the perfect world. His ideals are supposed to be noble, but his actions are complete. They contradict that. And so he wants to remake the world so that people can have peace. There's no war, no strife, no negative emotions, right? And so to do that, he has to kill everybody who's alive now to remake the world. And the person he wants to start with is Asta, because he's a guy with no magic power. And every time that Lucius goes through simulations of how a world is supposed to turn out, Asta is never supposed to be there. Like he's supposed to die. He's not supposed to affect the world this much. And he has to take care of him first. So Sister Lily is actually there as well. She's with Asta. And Asta, before I mentioned, he asked her to marry him one more time, right? He's an adult now, he's 18, and he wants one more time to see if she'll say yes. And if she says no, then that's alright. He's perfectly fine with that. He's not a kid anymore. He understands that if she's not into him, then he's not into him. And she says no, as expected. She's like, "Yo, listen, I view you as a little brother, not as a partner." And so he understands that even though it literally crushes his soul, you can see it on his face, like he's holding back tears. He understands and he accepts it. And I thought that was a really nice moment because in Shonen you would think that the main character would persist over and over and over again until they said yes or the character falls in love with them. But the fact that she said no and he just accepted it, it shows real growth in the character, but also shows that it's human, it's natural. And I enjoy that because there's people who love Austin, you know. There's two right behind him. So why wouldn't he go for people that actually love him in terms of like a romantic relationship instead of going for somebody who doesn't because they view him as a little brother, as family. Which I also thought was like a nice touch because having her say that really just shows how close they were in the orphanage along with Yuna. So she would probably say the same thing to Yuna, like he's also her little brother. I think that's really adorable. But back to Lucius. So he takes Sister Lily and converts her into an angel, a paladin for him. And she's just insanely strong, like almost as strong, if not stronger than a devil that they fought in the Spade Kingdom. And so Asta, trying to save her, goes to fight, and he loses immediately. Gets clapped by Lucius. Like, no joke, that is a plot point for the rest of the arc. And he just dies. Like he genuinely dies. And you have Noella, Mimosa, Secre all just standing there watching this happen. And they just witness their friend or their secret lover die right in front of them. And they just lose it. And so the captain show up, he's too weak and he's ready to kill anybody because that man's like at this point his little brother. And so seeing that happen, it's like, dog, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna destroy you. Luckily, Lucius manages to get away, so they're all just sitting there like, Dom, why does it keep on happening? Why do people just keep invading the Magic Kingdom and we can't do anything about it? Fortunately, the people who invade are people who are way stronger than you guys, so you can't do anything even if they do invade and you do know. So everybody's just there like, what do we do? Asta's dead. And then Yuno shows up and he's like, Asta is dead. And he's upset. He's really upset. And so we cut to the next part where we see Asta show up in a new island, a completely new land. And it turns out it's the land of the sun, the land where Yami himself, Yami Sukihiro, is from. And I thought that was so cool. Like this show, or excuse me, I keep calling it show, but that's because I watched half of it, over half of it, as a show. So I'm sorry about that. I think that's so cool though. Every time that we get like a new progress in the story, it always has a new country that's been talked about before, and it feels like it's been planned from the start, like where they're gonna go. And it kind of sucks because this is the final arc from what I can tell, because they say it in the manga itself, like this is the final arc. But we didn't get to see much of the Diamond Kingdom. All we got to see was the dungeon, and that's it. And like see some people from it, like Mars and Kruger and all that stuff, but I just wish we got to see more of it. And hopefully we get to see Mars again before the manga ends because it's been so long. It's been since the Witch's Forest. And I was really hoping that Mars would become like the king of the Diamond Kingdom because you imagine how cool that would be? Because you have Spade, you have Heart, you have Clover. They're all united in this like full frontal assault against Lucius. And why wouldn't Mars be there, right? Because Mars and the Diamond Kingdom have been getting clowned ever since the Spade Kingdom has attacked them all the way back in the invasion. So why wouldn't they be a part of it, right? So regardless, Asta is found by people who take care of him because he was dying. Luckily, people did find him, and the person that found him was the shogun of the country, aka this is literally just Japan. There's no like discussion. It's not like, oh, some things are different. No, this is Japan if it had magical scrolls that are substitutes for grimoires, and they have ki and the power that comes with that, you know. And so, like I said, the shogun, who's basically the wizard king for Japan, or like in real life, like the actual shogun who's the leader. So he finds Asta, and the person that is with him is actually Yami's little sister. So Yami is 6 years older than his little sister, and she hates him. We find out because he killed the Yami clan except for her. We'll find out what that means later on, but that's why she hates him. She also hates Asta because he reminds her of him. And so it's kind of like a kind of relationship, right? But the Shogun has his power. He has an eye, his I think his right eye, where he can see everywhere around the world and he can see what events are going on. So that's why he was able to see Asta and what was going on with him and what happened to him. So he picked him up and he's like, I know what's happening. You don't have to worry. I know you have to get back because Lucius mentioned that they have 7 days until Judgment Day happens, right? And that was the threat that he left the captains with. So Asta now basically has to train to get better because the Shogun himself says, yo, if you go back now, you're going to die. So let me have my retainers basically train you, the seven strongest people in the kingdom. And Asta is training with Yami's sister, who's one of those people. And she, again, does not like him. So she's going out, all out on him, and he's trying his hardest to find a way to get better, but he just can't. He has hesitation in his blade, and she knows that. And so she's trying to help him out. It's not working. And so other ones are trying to help him out. It's not working. And we learn more about the people here. This is where we learn about Yami and the massacre and everything like that. And there's actually a twist to what happens with Yami and his sister. It's just their father is a drunkard, right? He's strong, but he's a drunkard. And so he has these lofty expectations for Yami to become the head of the Yami clan and all this. And his sister, she's unassuming. She's like a I love my big brother type of stuff because they're good siblings, right? And we find out that the Shogun and Yami were actually really good friends until he had to leave on the ship and everything to wash the shore. So he has the Shogun himself has a good opinion of Yami, so that's why he's able to respect Asta so much because he knows like Yami trained him and all that. And we come to find out that the paladins from Lucius's side are coming to attack the land of the sun, and it's Sister Lily. It's the very first guy that they fought in Saucy Village with Magna and him. Magna and Asta, excuse me. That guy is back, and we thought he was dead. He was, but he got resurrected by Lucius, and that's one of his powers. He can resurrect people and turn them into paladins. And we're gonna see that come into play a lot more in the future. And then the final guy is the guy who has the puppets all the way back in the invasion arc in the capital. So it's those three versus the seven people that defend the Shogun and all that, right? And also, Sister Lily summons the dragon that's underneath the land of the sun. And that dragon is causing the land of the sun to be blocked out by clouds, right? It's using its magic to block out the sun. So kind of it kind of contradicts the name of the island if you think about it, which is kind of funny, but I think that was intentional. So now Asta has to train with the strongest of the seven, who was the Shogun's rival, but since the Shogun doesn't have any magic anymore, he's the strongest, no doubt. But the Shogun is the Shogun for a reason. And we'll get that into that in a second. But basically, Asta's training with this guy and the other guy, one of the other seven. So two of them are gone from the fight, while the other five are fighting the dragon and the three people. These two are helping Asta train and overcome his plight, his self doubt and everything. And the reason why he can't get stronger is because of his self doubt. He feels weak because of the fact that he got bodied so badly by Lucius, and he let Sister Lily get away. And so he feels like would have done a better job, and that he's just too weak. He doesn't know how to handle this. He needs to progress and everything, right? And so this training basically helps him get rid of that doubt. Like you can get stronger. You're not limited. You can keep going, right? And so the five handle what they're doing, but they can't beat them, right? And so they need Asta there. Asta shows up, the other two show up, and now it's just war. It's literally just war. It's Asta versus Lily. Really emotional fight. Really, really emotional fight because we know that Lily doesn't want to do this whatsoever. Even though her soul was modified so that she believed every word that she was saying, and this isn't her being controlled, she still did not want to hurt Asta, nor did she want to hurt those people. She did horrible things as the paladin. And so when Asta frees her, she just is crying, crying so much because she cares for Asta so much. That is her little brother at this point. And so she's apologizing to him and just apologizing for how much damage and hurt she's caused people like literally to the land of the sun. Like, granted, people were evacuated because the shogun knew, luckily, but she still feels so much hurt and pain for what happened. And now for the backstory for the shogun as well, because I needed to mention that too. We learned from the strongest guy that him and the shogun were rivals, right? That they both were equal in strength, but they had to go into what's it called? Into the cave to find this mystical eye to help them with the land of the sun to help them rule it, right? It was important. And so those two were deemed worthy because the plague was affecting regions of the land of the sun, and there people were just gonna die and go extinct over there, right? So that's why they needed the eye. So I can elaborate. Those two were deemed worthy to go in, and so they were sent in. But the only thing is that one of them would lose their magic, and so the shogun was just like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Ryuya, that's his name, Ryuya. So the guy who was strong, he was like, "Man, I don't want to lose my magic." And so when Ryuya goes up and he's like, "Yo, I'll do it," he's kind of angry because that was his equal. Nobody else was as strong as the strongest guy. And so when Ryuya lost his magic, he was like, "Dang man, what the heck? Well, why?" And when the shogun was being decided, they were originally gonna go with the strongest guy, but then he was like, "Nah, Ryuya should be the shogun, because it's more than just strength. It's the person behind that strength. And even though he doesn't have magic anymore, that man is still just as strong. It's just not magically. And so they managed to beat Sister Lily. They managed to stop the other two as well because the Ice guy is pretty. He's a paladin, so he is strong. But the Beast guy as well, they clap him, so that's no worries. It's just a dragon. They set up for Asta to take down the dragon in a single slice because it's a five-headed dragon, and so they managed to do that simultaneously. Pretty cool fight. I'm not gonna lie, it was dope. And then we have the celebration because no anime would be an anime without a celebration after a huge fight, right? And Black Clover doesn't have a lot of those, so it is nice to see. So we have the celebration. We in that fight we got to learn that Yami's sister, the person that killed the entire clan, wasn't him, but it was her. And so I'm starting to make the connection to like the reason he left was because he took the fall for her, and so to keep her safe, he left so that people would blame him and she would never know, which is kind of cruel, because she lost her brother because of something that she did, and now she has to suffer with that knowing what the truth really was. And her hatred towards him was pointless. She should actually be thanking him and all that stuff. And so, back when Asta and her were talking about how much she hates him, he was defending his honor because he knows that Yami would never do that. And so they fought as a training practice or whatever, like in the guise of that. And the Shogun showed up and stopped it because she was serious. Like she wanted to kill Asta and all that. And Asta just wasn't ready yet. And so after that battle, like way later in the present now where they're celebrating, she apologizes because she realizes now, like, yo, you were right. My brother didn't do that. And Asta being drunk off the sake is like, hey, no worries, it's all good. It was just a misunderstanding. And then she's just like, wow, whatever. And so she leaves. Asta goes into the hot spring to relax because one of them invited him to there. And he finds her there again. You would think because she's Yami's sister that she would just cut him up in tween. But no, she was actually embarrassed, and that was kind of cute. The next day, she's like, I'm gonna make you pay for that someday. She doesn't know how, but she will. And so that's basically that for right now. Asta's still training, but Judgment Day has come. And so we're going over to the Clover Kingdom. And this is where things get crazy. So, like the Elf Reincarnation arc, the Clover Kingdom is being invaded but by Lucius instead, right? And so things are just going nutty because Lucius shows up and people just start dying, bro. And reincarnated people show up as well. So you have Asier who shows up. You have Morgan as well who shows up, and just a bunch of other people. And this is a lot of pain for obviously like Nozel, Noel, and Yami. And so we cut to Mara Leona, who's also fighting some people, and things are just going wild. You have fighting Lucius himself, and it's basically just proven that either Yuno is a Magic Knight captain, or or the Wizard King at this point because he's stronger than William. He's actually stronger than William because the people were going to die because of Lucius's one of his spells. He was about to clap everybody, and then the man shows up and just deflects it like Julius did all the way back when he was fighting Patri in the Elf Reincarnation arc. Just like, dog, how cracked did he get in a span of a year and 3 months? It was almost a year and a half, but it's like, bro, what happened? That's what happens when you have two grimoires, dog. Like, you're actually just cheating. And so he's fighting Lucius, like I said before. So again, cutting back to Leona, she's fighting all these crazy people. The Crimson Lion Kings, the members of them start realizing like, yeah, they can't really do anything, and so they have to rely on Leona. And so she's taking a lot of heavy damage. Like, she's going to die if she keeps going like this. And so the Crimson Knight members, they show up and they're just like, yeah, let us take the blows for you instead. And by the way, like, this isn't them like taking the blows for them and living. They're dying because of this. So they're losing a bunch of members rapidly, but it's giving her enough time to actually fight and beat the person that she's fighting against. She still hasn't beaten them yet, but it is enough to get them going. And Fuegoleon's just sad about this because like these are people that he's grown up with, lived with, and had fun times with. By the way, I haven't seen Leopold in so long. I wonder what he looks like now. It's been almost a year and a half, so I wonder how different he looks now. Probably looks more like Fuegoleon, if anything. So I hope we get to see that at some point. But regardless, we have Jack as well, because Yami was fighting Morgan, and Morgan showed up and killed Jack. Like, Jack is actually dead. There's no coming back for Jack the Ripper. But we get to see a little backstory for him because we saw it all the way back in the Spade Kingdom. And it's just basically like he wants to cut things. His father died in a hunting trip and he just wants to cut things. The strongest things, and Yami was one of them, right? And these two had a bond where they were both rivals. They wanted to kill each other, or well, Jack wanted to kill Yami, and Yami just wanted to chill, and they both were just meatheads, but they had that profound respect for each other. It was cool. They were sort of rivals. And so when Morgan shows up and kills Jack, and we see him on his last legs ready to die, he lets off one of the craziest attacks I've ever seen in Black Clover. And that's coming from a guy who's seen Nightless slash Equinox and Asta's version of that. And it was Jack's final hoorah, his final moment, his magnum opus of an attack. He cut so far that it cut outside of the Forsaken Realm in the Clover Kingdom. That is insane to me, dog. That is crazy. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough to kill Morgan, and Jack dies. And by the way, like, these reincarnated bodies, they like the people are dead. There's no way around that. They're dead. So if they kill them, like, to me, it doesn't matter because they'll just go back to being dead. It is what it is, right? But it's still painful because there's people that know, like, yo, I knew you before. That sucks. But regardless, so now it's Yami fighting against Morgan, and Noct isn't there yet. I don't know where he is, but he isn't there. So now we have Noelle versus Asier, right? And this is a crazy fight because you have Noelle now who's a lot stronger, and the reason why she's a lot stronger is because Kahuno and her brother were having some trouble in the Sea Temple, and Noelle was just crying by the sea because she thinks that Asta's dead. And so that really destroyed her because, again, you gotta remember that she admitted that she loved Asta. By the way, I forgot to mention in the last video, Charlotte admitted her love to Yami because she thought that he was dying. And in this arc, Yami and her were talking, and he was just like, yo, when we live this and we finish this, let's go have a chat with T and whatever, and we can talk about how we feel, right? And so she agrees. And so that's going to be some progress. But regardless, Noelle's just destroyed by the news, right? And Kahano shows up, and she was going to cheer up Noelle, but Noelle cheered herself up because Noelle always comes here to get advice, whether it's from Kahano or just from the sea. And so Kahano's just like, yo, let me help you out, Noelle. There's somebody who wants to meet you. And it's the sea dragon temple god that they have in the sea temple. And he's just like, yo, I need somebody to help me. I need to make a contract with somebody who's really strong. And so Noelle, who happens to be a water user and really strong, it's like, yo, I mean, yeah, you can do it with me. And so this is the same thing as with Fagolia, where he has the salamander, and where he has the wind spirit. Now Noelle has the water spirit. And so her moves are even stronger than ever before because Undyne isn't with her anymore. She's still with Laura Peshka, but this is even better. So she's just cracked now. She's ready to fight her mother because Nozel can't do it. His two siblings can't do it, especially not now. And Ossier is just like, yeah, don't worry. We'll be reborn and we'll be able to have a nice family time together. Now that I'm alive, right? And it's obviously not her. It is her, but just she's been corrupted. So it's like, oh, what can you do? But Noel now is just like, yeah, mom, I'm gonna clap you. I'm literally gonna destroy you, and I'm gonna surpass you. And then Ossier is just like, shoot, let's do it. Like, let's actually do it. It was a really nice moment seeing Ossier because we've seen so much of her, and also just overall for Noelle, it was such a great moment because we've been seeing Noelle grow just as much as Asta has, to where she's one of the craziest knights in the kingdom. She would probably be a magic knight, and I hope she is for the Silver Eagles, because she's cracked now. She's generally just insane. So I can't wait to see what happens with her and how she beats Ossier. But then we go to the latest chapter with Yuno and Lucius fighting, and Yuno is just proving that he's the strongest knight in the kingdom now. All it took was 2 years for him to become the strongest. And so he's fighting Lucius equal terms. Lucius has more strength because he is a devil host still. Lucifero having his body and all that, and Astaroth, I think, I don't remember who it was, but two devils in his body, and is still keeping up. So it just goes to show that he's a different person now. He's genuinely just cracked. And so manages to do a decisive blow to him, but where we leave off, we don't know if he's dead or not. And I think he is gonna pull like a Thanos. Like, yeah, he's not dead because Asta isn't even here yet. How are you gonna have the final arc end with Asta not even being there, bro? He ain't the main character, or at least he's not one of them. But regardless, that's basically where it ends. It's just like I think 29 to 30 chapters worth of content, so we still have a long way to go for sure. But I can't wait. I generally cannot wait to see what happens with this manga. I've took so much time to read, to watch. I've gone through 100 chapters almost. I've gone through over almost 200 episodes worth of anime content. I've gone through so much to catch up. And now that I'm here, I don't know how to feel. I genuinely don't know how to feel. It's an accomplishment. It feels surreal. Every time that I do this with a show, it just doesn't feel real. Whether it's Berserk, whether it's One Punch Man, whether it's One Piece, or anything like that, or Dragon Ball, or Bleach. I've had so many shows that I've just caught up to, and literally, I can't believe that I've done that. And now Black Clover is one of them, reaching a grand total of 10 videos as of right now, because I know it's gonna get longer, so don't worry about that. But yeah, my plans for this show and manga, I am going to keep covering it. Again, it's just me covering the arcs that interest me, or not arcs, but episodes, and if it does come back, yeah, episodes, but the chapters as well. And overall, my opinions on it, I think this arc has the potential to be the best arc in the show. Right now, I'm just waiting for it to be animated because this stuff is definitely going to hit once it's animated. I just can't wait to see how Black Clover comes back with the animation because these two arcs, the Spade Kingdom and this arc right now, have the potential to really blow up the internet because the Elf reincarnation and the Heart Kingdom struggle were going crazy enough as it is. So seeing these two get animated is going to be nuts. My friends were lying when they said that this was peak fiction, and I agree. Like, I genuinely agree. This show had the craziest comeback, where you go from, all right, it's cool. This is a slow start. We're building stuff up. We're building stuff up, to literally fighting time rending monsters with Lucius, who has Astaroth and Lucifero. And speaking of Lucifero himself and Zagrid, like, you just see how different this manga is. It took everybody to fight against one of the Eye of the Midnight Sun to now we have all of them fighting with us, with Patri and the three of them. We have so many characters now in Black Clover. It's insane to even try to think about how many there actually are. Because you can start with all the members of the squads, the captains, the elves. You have the Heart Kingdom people. You have the Spade Kingdom people, and it's just so much. My one thing is that I wish that we got to see more in depth in the Spade Kingdom, because we got to see that in the Heart Kingdom, and again the Diamond Kingdom. I want to see more about them. The the Land of the Sun. I want to see more about them. I want to see if there's more kingdoms outside of those. What's gonna happen when Black Clover ends? Is there gonna be a continuation? There's a lot of questions that I want answered, but it's more like excitement and not like worry or anything like that. I'm just super excited to see what happens with Black Clover. And for right now, I gotta say, the future is looking bright. The future is looking really bright. The paneling has been better than it has been before. The panels themselves look amazing. The story's been good. It's had me engaged since the first chapter. I couldn't wait to read how the time skip went down. And overall, I just can't wait. I genuinely cannot wait. So, thank you all for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. Thank y'all for joining me for this long journey as well. I think it's been 2 months, but even then, it's still a long time considering that I started this like all the way back like at the end of April or the beginning of May. So it's just been crazy, and I've enjoyed every second of it. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day, great rest of your night, great rest of your evening, whenever it is you're watching this. And I'll see you all in the next video. Maybe a new series, maybe a couple more movies. You can tell, right? But I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.